Scotty just got into the vortex, okay? For the record, this is Scotty's moment. For All Addictions Anonymous, it wasn't that I went through the book. It was, I won't get into the whole story here, but I'm just telling you, I already know this is it. When I had that first session with that guy, I don't even know his name, a black guy, homosexual guy, it was maybe 18 months, 2 years into recovery. I was trying so hard to get people to let me sponsor them. They were just running away. I was taking them out for coffee. I kind of had this energy about me that said, he's a great guy, nice guy, but I don't want him to be my sponsor. Does that make sense? And eventually I actually gave up. I mean, I at some point I just gave up, and I, rented an office and went back to headhunting. I was still sober and everything. Relapsed in my cigarette addiction, mind you. I relapsed back into that. But I did give up. Like, it was like I tried and tried. I was going to 12-step meetings all the time for a year. And then, going to all the right meetings, like putting myself out there, let me take you out for coffee. Like, I was trying. Like, nobody can say I wasn't trying as hard as anyone, if not more than most people. But eventually, after getting enough no's, my truth is I gave up. But I'd still go to the meetings. And after giving up, maybe kind of like law of attraction, notice this is law of attraction, I gave up. I just stopped trying. I just gave up. But I still kept going to the meetings, but I just stopped trying so hard now. But I was pretty sure no one would ever come to me. But no, I had hope that someone would, but I didn't see it happening. That's more accurate. And then this guy comes to me, asks me to help him, and then I say, yes, of course. And then I panic, and I go home, and I call Don Furnell, one of the people that took me through the book, and I said, Don, fuck, I just told this guy I got to help him. But I've it's been so long since I've been taken through the book. Can I go through it again, and so, or something? And he said he does this thing called a tune-up. And Don Furnell is the guy that created the booking process. It's a group called the Muckers, right? He created the mucking process with this other guy named Glenn. And it was all circling the book. Like, your book is circled, no colors in it. But anyway, I went back to him. And then, boom, I'd see him, have a session, and then I told the black guy, I'll see you, this day. I never told him that I was getting rebooked because I was scared, right? I didn't want him to say no now because I gotta show up confident. So I get rebooked kind of while I'm taking this guy through. But here's what happened. The epiphany happened to me in the very first session. We had this amazing session in this coffee shop on Carlton Street in Toronto. Nice restaurant. I think it was like a Golden Griddle. Like, lots of room to have coffee and have your big books there. And after the session, after hearing this guy's story, if first we're talking, he's telling me his story and everything, because that's how you do it, right? You don't just go into the book here. You got to get to know the guy first, right? And I'm getting to know him, that he's homosexual, and and how he lost everything, and oh man, his story was way worse than mine had ever been yet. And yet, when you look at him, he's just an average guy like you, John. Swear, he could have been you. You wouldn't have guessed when he tells you his whole story, right? That it was that terrible, and he's living in this halfway house treatment center, and he's scared to death that he's going to relapse. Anyway, we go through the book, and he thanks me so much, and he feels hope, and he tells me how desperate it was, and that he was thanking me. It wasn't that he was thanking me. He didn't have to thank me. It's I don't know what happened. I don't remember, but it was just I knew I was useful to this guy. It was a knowing, right? It was just holy fuck, man. I was doing it for me to stay sober, but when he walked away and we walked out of that restaurant, he went this way to the subway and I went the other way to the subway. I just started crying uncontrollably, just out of nowhere. I was crying to God. I felt pure love. I had a spiritual experience. I never felt like this. Okay. That's the best way to say it. I don't want to oversell it. I want to authentically tell you this is the moment when I was I was addicted to this forever, for lack of a better word. Like I experienced love for the first time is how I feel. I fucked women. Was married. Whatever love was that I thought love was, right? You don't get married to someone unless you feel you love them, right, John?
Yep.
I'm saying that, I was married to someone I loved, and this feeling that I had from doing this thing for the very first time with this other hopeless soul, I walked away feeling love for the first time. It's like I had self-love. I had God's love. I felt like I was really useful, and it wasn't about me. That's what made it so beautiful. It's like I know that God used me. He picked me. Why me? I don't know. I have fucking no idea. I still think I'm a piece of shit. I'm doing my best to help people, but everybody can tell, I guess, that I still fucking hate myself. I don't know. But once I had that feeling, it's like it threw me into, I know you say vortex. It's almost like this was better than the vortex, if that can make any sense. Maybe because I was so dark, it's so negative, it's so depressed, it's so much anxiety, and everything was so hard, that the relief of all that darkness and hardness and effort, my whole life is effort. And I'm in recovery, doing well. Chain smoking, masturbating, all these other addictions now. But you wouldn't know, I just look like another guy. But in this moment, that's why I don't even have a clue what we said. I don't even remember. Because it wasn't about me. It was so beautiful. And what's interesting, after having that experience, having that knowing, right? It was like something changed in me. It was like I was a light bulb when I went into 12-step meetings, and all of a sudden, other people are wanting me to sponsor them. It's like I transformed. I know this is I know these are fucking terrible words to use because people don't believe this shit. You don't talk spiritual experience or whatever. But I just want you guys to get, this was my epiphany. Once I had the fucking taste of this, was all I wanted to do. Anything to go to more meetings and go to detox centers and go to I'm going up north visiting my friend Rob Rice at a cottage. Hey, while I'm there, I'm going to go to the local prison there that's a 20-minute drive and see if while I'm at the cottage every weekend, I can go help prisoners every Sunday. And, I met the priest that I got in. And then I went to another jail. I got in. Then I went to all the detox centers in Toronto, and I fucking opened them all up. I was on fire, man. And it happened when I had that one. So does that sound like an epiphany bridge story you could write better than I said it, Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Samina, what do you think about what I just said? Because I've never knew. All the time we were looking for my epiphany story, I've told you different stories, but I never knew it until yesterday when I was preparing to lead this session. I knew I needed to be open to finding my own true epiphany story, and I swear to God, it found me. That's the advice I have for us, you and me, Samina. Because you know how many times I've told you my epiphany around step 12, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that particular story?
No.
I know.
No.
I somehow I was emotionally connected to it yesterday. I don't know why. All the other times I'm on my head coming up with passionate stories. It's like it's not the origin story. It was when we walked our separate ways and I uncontrollably cry, thanking God for loving me. For loving me. Me, so unworthy. How could you have me be used for something so important? The man's life, you put it in my hand? Johnny, that's why I do everything. I know you know me for 10 years. That's my true why. When you know that about me, doesn't it now make more sense why I'm such a nice guy, so to speak? All the
Yep.
great things I do for people,
Yeah, it does.
because I just want that again. I'm chasing God. I'm chasing God.
It makes a lot of sense.
And because you're my friend, John, this has nothing to do with the script, but I gave my life to Christ, like on the altar numerous times. Underwater, I was baptized 5 times. I went to every freaking church you could imagine. This church, that church. You know, I just thought I was so bad. I must have been doing it wrong. And I searched Christ when I was a kid. I grew up in the projects, and I went to Sunday school on my own. I had to find the bus to get there. I went by myself. When I heard the story of Christ for the first time as a little Sunday school, and what Christ did for me, I was so moved. Not that I believe that story the way I did as a kid, Johnny, so I don't want to come across and mislead you that I am that kind of a Christian anymore. But I was that kind of a Christian when I was a little kid, and it was beautiful. Like, but I'm just saying, I've been seeking God my whole life. And I found God in helping that black man. That's what it took. I had to be a crackhead. And I had to help another crackhead. Because like the big book says, this seemed to prove that one crackhead could help another crackhead like no other crackhead could. For some reason, I was the only guy that could help that guy. And when you hear the story of Heathcliff and my parent fucking thing, my old friend who's in that, whenever you listen to that whole thing on the whole parent offer, it's done. It's all in 1.5 hours. The whole fucking offer is there. And you see us watching all the testimonials I forgot about, and Heathcliff talk about what I did for him. I did that for him because of that, what that black man did to me, did for me. Okay, you go ahead and read. Thank you so much, both of you, for creating the space for me to express that.
That first aha moment created so much excitement for you that you started on a journey where you studied everything you could find about the topic. You started geeking out and going deep into the subject, learning all the terminology and understanding the science and technical aspects behind why it worked.
So
And then
this is what I did. I started going to Landmark Education because it had everything to do with integrity. I started studying the Wally Patton, the history books on AA, studying all this stuff. I had a guy take me through a prayer who was the only last living person in the world that was alive when Bill Wilson was. His name is James Hoke. And I talked to him when 100 years old. And as a result of us doing this prayer and shit together, it was like the very next week I made the 2 most difficult amends of my life that could have landed me in jail. And it was, he did a prayer of Christ, and he took me through this process that was called the Oxford Groups. It was the 6-step program that existed before AA. I was like obsessed, man. I was not just obsessed helping addicts, 8, 9 hours, everything. My whole day is consumed by it. I was like, when I wasn't doing that, I was listening to CDs of the top guru speakers, Charlie, all of them in my car all the time. I just wanted to get better and better and better and better at helping people. And then, the highlighting system, color coding system was just something that obviously had to get developed if the guy's this obsessed with being the absolute best at this in the world he can be for God. Like, as long as I get to do the thing that brings me love, man, least I could do is be the best at it I could possibly can be for God. Keep going, Johnny. Thanks so much, man, for making this happen.
Now, at this point, you've had an emotional connection with the new opportunity as well as a logical connection. Then, because you believe so much in what you're learning, you have a desire to share it with other people. But unfortunately for you, the first thing you try to do is logically convince everyone you know about this new idea.
Which is what we were doing in our script up until today.
You probably expected them to be as excited as you were, but quickly found out that they were resistant to the new ideas. Has this ever happened to you? I'm going to mark, has this ever happened to you in yellow?
Oh, good catch. Good catch. Oh, while we're at it, did we put in orange? Do you remember what the experience was? Do you remember how you felt?
Nope.
No, not orange, yellow, yellow, yellow. Yellow's questions, right?
Oh, wait a sec. I did, yeah.
What page are we on, by the way, Johnny?
This is 94.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was on 93. Okay.
Okay.
All right, the problem is that you started to speak a language we call technobabble. One of my friends, Kim Claver, wrote a book called If My Product's So Great, How Come I Can't Sell It? In it, she identifies technobabble as the #1 sales killer. We all love our ideas so much. We want people to understand why they should follow us and use our products and services. But for some reason, as soon as we try to explain our beliefs to someone, we automatically start to spew the technobabble we've learned in order to logically convince people to buy. We talk
And
about
in the
why
big, I just want to interrupt, in the big book, that's why the big book is saying we don't start off as a preacher or evangelist. Like that's the language of the 39, because that's what it was like. We're just trying to preach it. Go ahead, John.
we talk about why this concept is the best and potentially mention all the science behind what we do. We talk about how we're leading the industry with groundbreaking products. We share industry numbers and jargon, but all the logical stuff that strengthened our own beliefs in the new opportunity will not help people buy unless they've already had the same initial emotional epiphany that you had.
Okay, hold on.
So that's all
Wow.
orange.
Wow. I got that in the head, but I didn't feel that. Tell me what they're saying. Just read what I repeated, John, and then tell me what that means to you, because I just know I need to get that.
All the logical stuff that strengthened our own beliefs in the new opportunity will not help people buy unless they've already had the same initial emotional epiphany that you had.
Wow. Right? Holy shit. Color it however you want, guys. That's just like a holy shit. That's like red. You know, for Scotty, that's the red. You pulled out the red. Let me read that for myself and see why that's hitting me so hard. But all the logical stuff that strengthened my own beliefs in the new opportunity will not help people buy. Right, unless, so it doesn't matter how strong my belief is and my certainty, and I can sell it, because if they don't get through this scripting the same fucking initial emotional epiphany that I had, how the fuck can you do that? I don't think that any script could cause what I just told you happened to me, John. What am I misreading here? You can't cause them to have the experience of finding God through helping an addict.
No, but you can, if you're dealing with addicts, you can convince them through your words and reference. See, because you start with that big feeling, that big story that you just told, that generates the feeling, right? So that's the feeling. And then you bridge to why that works. And then that's when you dig into the big book and all this other stuff, right? Because you deal with the emotional aspect of it first. You know, this changed my life. I had no idea that this was going to change my life like it did. I saw God, right? And then you go through and say, and this is why it works, you know. The big book says you have to give your time freely to do this kind of thing, you know, outside of your normal work hours, so you can still, you know, do your responsibilities. This is something you do that's not part of your responsibility. This is something that you do to become whole. See what I mean?
That's why it's also not on the service plane, right? Because if it's on the service plane, God couldn't have entered.
That's right.
Two hopeless addicts showed up. One terrified that he was going to fuck the other guy's life up, and the other guy coming for some hope. That's the truth. And a miracle happened for me that day.
Right. And the reason that worked for the guy you were booking is because you were able to give him the hope and strength that you had by taking him through the big book. Because remember that big book
Well,
says
somehow
in
I already
chapter
caused
7.
that because he saw me in meetings and knew I had clean time. He came to me because he heard me talk in a meeting, and for some reason he picked me, right? And yeah, he was like, on the verge of relapsing. So I was there was a lot of people that could have helped him, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. But he picked me.
And
What are
that's
you
why they
present to,
say
Samina?
that, you know, to choose the niche market. That's why to go after your target audience who are already going to be open to the message, where you don't go after the masses, right?
And just an interesting thing here, because I realize it's unfair to John. This is already in my space that would come up naturally. To have him script 2 full script webinars now, which is what we would have to do. So I just want to say I'd like to put the AAA one as a second priority, and I don't mean put it on hold. Like if there's anything we're inspired to do that we got the footage of and still deliver on that, that would still be helpful, John. If you could send me that, and then maybe then it kind of goes on hold, and it's up to Scotty to sort that out. Like you know what I mean. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like I don't want to put it on hold, but I do know that once I get that script from the AAA from John, I think I want to like put all my energy in completing this 12-12 with you guys. And let me tell you why. It's related to what we're talking about. See, here's what's odd, Johnny. Even though I had that experience, this is I think why I got so confused to just know that this was the experience, is because the truth is that's not really the work I want to do. You know what I want to do more than anything? I know this is crazy. I want to take people through expert secrets more than anything. More than Abraham, more than anything. And so I found my epiphany, Samina, like yours was in 11:11, you could say. But my truth is, I want to take people through this book more than anything right now. And it's not because of any logical reason. It's just I'm sold on step 12, but right now, I want to do this. If I just had people to take through this all the time, I'd be happy. But in the end, whatever God sends to me, I will book anybody through anything. What do you think about what I said? How it contradicts or does it contradict the fact that my epiphany is in that market? But truly, I'm telling you, right, I really do love all addictions, and obviously I want to do it. But I really want to work with you guys. I want to work with you guys, like be part of this whole group thing that's happened in 12-12 Tribe, where anybody could pick me, and my people could pick you, and if anything, I want to do lots of this one.
Yeah.
What do you think, John? Is that a problem? And if not, why is it not a problem?
Why would it be a problem?
Because my epiphany is not in the thing I want to be kind of doing with people, which is these other books. I'd be happy to never go into the big book again, quite frankly, other than showing people the roots of step 12.
Your epiphany happened to be about helping somebody with the big book, but
I think I just answered my question. There it is. My epiphany was step 12.
Yeah.
That's why we're selling step 12. Okay.
Right. And then when you're ready to sell, going through this book with people, that one you can sell for money.
Well, that's the thing. When we do our Facebook ads, I somehow want to do a Facebook ad around this book for me. Samina could do a Facebook ad around, ask it is given for her if she likes, whatever the spirit says for her. But that's what came to me is like, not just now. I'm not just like, oh, I'm a shiny object. Yay, love the book. It's been coming to me for a week. And then once I actually had the experience with Samina, it was like I was sold. Like yesterday was the first time we did maybe 20, 30 minutes of it.
Well, the thing is, from an emotional standpoint, there are a lot of people right now who are either out of work or whose businesses were completely crushed by COVID. And now that the numbers are going back up again, I know in Utah, we just have a horrible new case rate for, only having a population a little over 3 million. We're getting 1,500 new cases a day.
So are
And
we. That's the same number here in Brampton. It's gone up here. They put us back on lockdown.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
We're in
they
the
haven't put
same
us
place,
back
eh?
on. Yeah, they haven't put us back on lockdown, but they're starting to require masks, so you can't go into a public building like a store or something like that without a mask, and you
Oh, yeah,
can't have.
that's the kind of lockdown I mean. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't eat at the restaurants anymore.
They haven't told us that we can't eat at restaurants anymore, but you can't be in gatherings of more than 10 people.
Yeah,
If
so
you ever
we're
get
all of that, plus we got a little bit of lockdown.
Yeah, yeah. For us, they haven't closed the bars and the restaurants yet.
Oh, yeah.
But if it doesn't get any better, they will. But the thing is, what they're finding is the vectors are high school kids, right?
Oh, sorry. Let's
Because
take it back to what I took us off
I'm
topic.
sorry, I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. No, I want to say your point again though, because it was related to the script, or it was related to taking people through expert secrets. Maybe
Right.
was
So
that the point
anyway,
you were making that I didn't let you make?
sort
I
of.
didn't let you
I think.
let you make it yet. I don't think. So say yeah.
Right. So because so many people are either out of work or their business is crushed um, by COVID, they need a message like what Expert Secrets teaches to get their businesses back on track, to take their business from offline to online. There's so many different ways you can use this book to create a new business or to get your business back going. Because the thing is, everybody who starts a business has this epiphany story.
Yeah.
Because nobody would take the risk of starting a business if they didn't have that.
So
If they didn't have that emotional knowledge like you have now, because of the epiphany you had booking that guy.
and this is what I want to say, and I know Samina doesn't want to do this, so we don't do it. But at least I want to just kind of be heard as a team, in case we might do this like late, like right after this particular webinar. I know Samina's right. You want to sell one thing, you sell one thing. That's why I got to do my Facebook ad, because I don't want to sell Ask as a Given. I want to do this book here.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what 1212 is, it's like I could see 3 books, like a big book, but you don't know it's a big book because it's the one that you can barely see what it is. It's just a big book. And then you see Ask It Is Given, and then you see this, like this book hasn't been picked lightly. Like I've read so many books or scanned through them. I know the books are out there. This is the only book that I got them all, not all of them, but this is the only book I know is like a recipe. It's like, to me, this book, Expert Secrets, is the Bible of how to build a business in this world online. And it can, and like you said, it would work for Trevor, work for any business. And the big book is like the Bible for anybody who wants to recover from a single addiction and is willing to do it through the original 12-step program the way it was, right? And Ask It Is Given is like the Bible teachings. The Bible in terms of like where we are in terms of, our thought life. I don't even know how to put it. Like the secret, the law of attraction, all of that. It's the Bible. That's it. That's it. It's like, I didn't just pick 2 other books and say, I got a color coding system and let's use the color coding system and just pick 2 books. No, these books are the equivalent of what the big book has meant to me, but for these other areas. That's why if it was up to me, I'd be doing a webinar that was about this is what we do and how we help people that are solopreneurs. We teach you the most important teachings of what step 12 really is. Consider you have no fucking idea, even if you're in step 12, even if you're in the 12 steps, consider that there's something you could learn if you went through these particular sections with one of us. And it's not much. Maybe it's 3 or 4 sessions and you just get the PDF of the big book. And then, boom, you could do that that's the grounding. And now it's a combination of going through these other books depending on where you're at. But number one, if you've studied all this shit already and you're negative, and the focus you might feel would be there. You might want to be like, you know what? Right now, I've got to like get out. Like Samina. Samina knows herself right now. She knows that for her, she knows how to do webinar stuff and all this stuff, and she knows what's in this book. But she knows her truth is her vibration and her mind is the thing that is most sensitive, or not that because the thing is she's it's like I don't even want to make her seem like she's weak. It's just she knows. She's just got to only focus on the Abraham teachings. If she could just be Abraham's teachings, best way to do it is to teach it. If she could do that, right, the script would write itself. The epiphany bridge stories would come. Everything would just happen, right? And in my case, I'm just my truth is I listen to Abraham Hicks every day, as you know, for 8 hours. I go to bed to her and I wake up to her, and I participate, here, teaching, creating this for others, right? The truth is, I got Abraham in me, and I don't need to teach it. I don't. Does that make sense? Like I don't mean to be
It
arrogant.
does.
I
Well,
don't.
no, because one of the things that we were saying in the script is, the best way to learn something is to teach it, right? That
But
really
let me
seeps
tell you this:
in your soul,
if
but you've already got it.
if something really extreme happened in my life, let's say all of a sudden Samina died, like my business partner, like I'm relying on everything. Let's just say she died tomorrow. I would be like a madman, teaching law of attraction to people. And I would be going through all the stuff on death to buy into the idea that she's not dead. Right? I would stop fucking anything I'm doing, and and I'm saying that because, you know, we might come back to these teachings. I might go back into the big book. You know, but right now, at least right now, Samina knows she needs to sell this Ask and It Is Given. And I'm saying that for you, Samina. I'm just throwing a belief into your head right now. Because I'm very charismatic and I can get you to think it's a great idea to sell all 3 books. Right? But I want you to stay to your truth. Okay? But John, do you think that could work? Even though we're not doing it in this webinar, if we were selling the concept of 1212 and these 3 books? Or is it a separate webinar for each book?
Because of the higher level content, higher vibration content in both the big book and Ask and It's Given, I think you can talk about them together. But
But not the Expert Secrets.
Expert Secrets has a completely different vibe. Right?
Love it.
So
Great
it's not
answer,
this high
Samina.
level,
Got it. I agree. I get it.
vibration.
Samina, would you be aligned with talking about the big book just in the way that we do, like there are these certain sections, like you were so inspired when you took John, you said I'm taking John through step 12. I said, oh, wow, okay, yeah, wow. Didn't expect that after John said no more big book for me. That's why I trusted him. She says that's what I'm doing. But would you agree that that is part of your passion? But it's just not the whole steps. It's just teaching step 12.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, when I'm, voicing this webinar, I'm just having one message in my mind, the big vision, 1212, and the whole vibration thing, right? That's all the message I gotta have in my mind to pull it off in my mind. But if I have 2, 3 messages going on, it's
So
gonna
what I'm
get me.
saying is for you, we just want to do a webinar for 1212 as it's applied to Ask and It Is Given only. No big book in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what it'll be.
and we did. We stripped most of the mentions of the book out anyway, so
Yeah.
it doesn't. There's very few mentions of particular books.
Yeah, but in terms of what we're selling, it's the Ask and It Is Given process in this webinar. But you cannot not mention, Scott. This whole process came from the
Yeah,
big book and taking
it's mentioned in
it
the
through
script.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
it's mentioned in
Okay.
the script.
yeah, but
So
I need to redo the About Me section and turn it into an epiphany bridge. For
Well, we have
Samina.
to wait for Samina to talk because you got to get it from her. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Why don't you read a bit, Samina, and then just tell John when to continue.
Okay, where to start from? Yeah. All the logic, features, and benefits it give people before the epiphany will just annoy them. It's frustrating and often completely offensive. There's a time and a place for logic, but you have no but you have to convince them emotionally first before they'll be excited about your logic.
Okay, so that's green and orange or green. You have to convince them emotionally first. Yeah, yeah, that's it. You have to convince them emotionally first. I'm just going to read that whole paragraph and then you can continue, Samina. But all the logic stuff that strengthen, as you're highlighting, whatever I just said, but all the logic stuff that strengthened our own beliefs in the new opportunity will not help people buy unless they've, capital letters, already had the same initial emotional epiphany that you had.
Hmm.
This would be very easy to sell to the 12-step community then who are so self-employed or whatever. No, they don't
Yeah.
even have to be. Okay, anyway, all the logic, features, and benefits you give people before the epiphany would just annoy them. Yeah, it'll just feel like you're selling them. It's frustrating and often completely offensive. Wow.
Mm.
I want to put that in orange because I'm going to be so tempted to keep selling them anyway. Put in orange all the logic, features, and benefits you give people before the epiphany will just annoy them. It's frustrating and often completely offensive. I need to be having that yelled at me anytime I go there.
Yeah.
Continue reading when John says okay at think about
Okay.
it.
Think about it. You didn't buy into the new opportunity because of all the logical technobabble. You bought in because of some emotional experience that happened before you geeked out.
And that's why it's true what I said to you, John. Like, we're going to just make you have a person to take through this, to have a session with, right? Because only then, can you possibly have the epiphany. Because
Hmm.
that was my story, right? I didn't have my epiphany until I had the experience.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, continue, Samu.
You had an epiphany first, and that caused you to move forward. People don't buy logically, they buy based on emotion. Then they use logic to justify the purchase decision they've already made. For example, let's say I purchased a Ferrari. I'm emotionally invested in the feeling I want to have when I'm driving it. That's why I bought the Ferrari, or a big house, expensive clothes, watches, etc. But then I have to logically justify to myself, my friends, or my spouse why it was worth spending all that money. I have to explain how it gets better gas mileage. It was on sale. It came with a great warranty. Logic is justification for the emotional attachment I've already made. If you think about it, there's a status consideration on both sides of this equation. I'm emotionally attached to the status then the new Ferrari will give me. But then I need to justify it logically to my friends and family so I don't lose status in their minds. But good luck selling me logically if I don't already have the emotional connection with the car. It's pretty much impossible. Logic doesn't sell, emotions sell. So to create those emotions, you have
Can,
to go back and,
can we stop for a second?
yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be colored.
What do you see, bro?
Um, that on page 95,
Tell
the
tell Samina what color to take out first.
orange. It's a lot of orange.
Okay.
All right. So in the first paragraph after the graphic, um, you bought in because of some emotional experience that happened before you geeked out. You had an epiphany first, and that caused you to move forward. People don't buy logically, they buy based on emotion. Then they use logic to justify the purpose decision they've already made. I think that all needs to be in orange.
And then when Samina says, okay, can you continue reading, or is there another coloring process you see?
No, that's, well, logic doesn't sell, emotions sell. That should either be orange or green.
That's not an instruction.
Then
Oh,
what?
I see. Yeah, you could put it in green because it's an implied instruction. You could do it either way. Yeah, go green. You're right. But either color would work
Yeah,
if
I'll
you're
just
seeing
do
it as an
orange.
implied command. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and continue, Samina.
Oh, if you want, okay, sure. Okay. So to create those emotions, you have to go back and remember what it was that gave you the epiphany that caused you to believe in the new opportunity. That story, your epiphany bridge story, provides the emotional connection and bridges the gap from the emotional to the logical side.
So I'm going to read that again. And Sabina, I just want to just give you permission or an intention to now, as we continue reading about this, allow the Spirit. It's if it happens, you say, I got it. And then you just start telling us your story because we got mine, right? But we need yours,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
But you don't force it either. We could go through this and it actually doesn't come to you, right? I just how long have I been searching for my epiphany on this, right? About a year, going through all the Russell Brunson webinar stuff together, right? And I never got it. So it'd be unreasonable for me to put this expectation. Okay, you better get it right now, Samina, because I
Mm-hmm.
already knew the structure of an epiphany bridge story a year ago, right? This is a God thing. So I'm just saying, but at the same time, I want you to have the intention that God might just deliver it right now. If you have the intention, right, that you're going to just stop Johnny and I and say, whatever, like what I did to you guys, right?
Yeah.
Shut up, guys, I got it. Okay, we'll listen. So to create these emotions, you have to go back and remember what was it, what it was that gave Samina the epiphany that caused her to believe in 1212. See, for you, Samina, I helped you see that 1212 was happening on so many things I created for you, but you did not yet have your epiphany, possibly. You know what I mean? Like you didn't. It wasn't like such an epiphany, right? So your story, your epiphany story, provides the emotional connection and bridges the gap from the emotional to the logical side. And you may have had your epiphany experience. I don't mean to take that away. If you can tell a story about how you got your big aha, and if you structure the story right, you will have the same epiphany and will sell themselves on your. Okay, yeah. If you could just tell a story about how you got your big aha, and if you structure the story right, your story, Samina, they will. These other spiritual entrepreneurs, females that will resonate with you and want to go through Ask It Is Given with you. And it's going to be because they will have the same epiphany and will sell themselves on your product or service. Then, and the only way we know for sure that they could have that epiphany ultimately is, right, they got to have that session with one of us. Then they'll look for ways to logically justify the purchase and learn all the tech. Okay, you go ahead and read, John. And we'll let Samina just listen now so that she can listen for her epiphany bridge story.
Then they'll look for ways to logically justify the purchase and learn all the technobabble on their own. Your job is to learn how to tell these stories in a way that will lead people to the epiphany, and they will do the rest. So that sentence, your job is to learn, I think that needs to be in green because it is an instruction.
Our job is to learn how to tell these stories in a way that will lead people to the epiphany, and they will do the rest. Yes. So we're learning right now how to see. Even as I told my incredible epiphany story, You try to script that, and it's not very moving. Johnny's going to have to massage that and make it a lot better. Right? But I got to learn how to tell that story that just came out very raw, way better than the way I said it. Right,
Mm-hmm.
John?
Yep. So my first question for you is, what was your core Epiphany Bridge story that convinced you of the one thing you are sharing with others? We'll
So
worry
that
about.
is yellow. What was your core Epiphany Bridge story that convinced you of step 12 for Abraham Hicks' book you are sharing with others?
Okay.
Keep going. Samina?
Well,
Sorry, Samina.
Um, I
No, did
can
you
take.
say okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So John will read.
we'll worry about how to structure that story over the next two secrets. But for now, I want you to think back to the original experience that gave you your first epiphany, that brought you on this journey. Do you remember what happened? What was happening around you? How did you feel? It's important to remember those details because they are key to telling a good story. So
Yellow. Do
yeah,
you remember what happened? What was happening around you? How did you feel? See, even if just that's in yellow, that'll make you go, what are they talking about? And you can read the stuff above it if you want. So you could put it in yellow or not above, but you don't have to.
Okay.
I think after he says we'll worry about how to structure that, um, I want you to think back to the original experience that gave you your first epiphany. I think that needs to be in green
Green, right? So you put
for
this part.
instruction.
You'd go think back to the original experience that gave you your first epiphany that brought you on this journey. So you just green the command. Think back.